Hey, what's up, guys? It's Srini, and today I am making a video detailing my experience, my 1 year of. Okay, I can just cut this part out. Hey, what's up, guys? It is Srini, and today I am making a video. A year ago, if you told me I was making this, I would probably laugh at your face, and I never would have believed you. But it is August 23rd, 2024, and 1 year ago today, on August 23rd, 2023, I started my parkour journey. And I am now at this point, and I thought, hey, it'd be super cool if a year from now I make a video talking about my experience with parkour and kind of looking back at like what I've learned in my experiences with it and just sharing it, because I feel like parkour is a thing a lot of people don't really know about. And obviously there, I don't want to say misconceptions, but there are preconceived notions of what it is and what you do and how the media portrays it and everything. But I wanted to kind of give my unfiltered, unedited thoughts, I guess, about what I've been doing with parkour in the past year. And so this video isn't going to be anything too crazy. I'm literally going to be rambling for a couple minutes about just random stuff that I feel like talking about, and I'm just going to have footage of me doing parkour in the background. So don't expect anything too crazy. And I know I post like a pretty good amount of parkour on like my Instagram and social media, and like more and more recently, as I've been doing it more and more, I've been posting more. And generally, you'll only see me posting like my successes on there. But here, I'm gonna probably put all the videos that I have taken, which is a lot of failures and success, which is a part of not just parkour, but any skill in life, right? You fail, you get back up, you learn from your mistakes, and you do better, and you succeed again. I'm getting ahead of myself here, so I'll talk about all the things. But yeah, 1 year of parkour. It's crazy to think that I'm here, and hopefully, as I continue living life in the future, this will continue to 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 50. Who knows? As long as I'm alive and I can move and I'm able to do that, move around, I'm still going to be doing parkour. Of course, things might change, but for now, we're here at year one, so let's just celebrate that milestone and just, man, I don't know, parkour just gets me so excited. So I guess I'm just gonna like go ahead and just get started. And so the first thing I want to talk about is my origin story. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I say origin story, but it's not anything too exciting. A lot of people always ask, "Hey, how'd you get in like this parkour? So niche or whatever." Well, I guess it started when I like started working out. I would go to the gym and like lift weights, and that was fun for a while. But it got really stale for me, and I think a lot of the problem was just I would go to the gym and like I'm not like the strongest guy. It was hard for me to put on muscle. So I would see progress, but it wasn't like a lot. And I feel like when you're weightlifting, the only progress you can really see is just either you start getting more in shape and your body. Sorry, you start getting more in shape, and then also like the progress of your weights, you start lifting heavier and heavier. But at some point, it got really stale and boring for me because obviously I wasn't seeing like a lot of progress, and I was just kind of like, hey, is this really what I want to be doing? And um, I would always be getting like, YouTube shorts or Instagram reels of like people doing different types of exercises, whatever and whatever. And I think eventually I started getting ones of like people doing parkour. And I was like, you know what? This is super cool. Like, I would love to like try this out. And so I remember like my final semester of my second to last semester of college. This was early 2023. I really did think about go. I was like, I should go to like a parkour gym just because I was like watching people doing parkour and just having fun doing shenanigans. And so I looked up a gym at. I was going to the University of Toledo at the time, and I was like, hey, there's a gym in Toledo. I should like go. But I put it off because at the time I was thinking about going to med school, and I was like, I got to study for the MCAT, so I decided not to go. I wish I didn't. Eventually, I ended up getting sick, not taking the MCAT. So all of that was for nothing, but that's a whole other story. But anyways, that I think this was around like April or maybe May. I was gonna do parkour, and like I even like called the gym, which Toledo Parkour, and see if like I could talk to someone just to know about like hours or like whatever. But no one picked up at the time, and I was like, I should be studying for the MCAT. But eventually, that summer, I went back home to like Georgia and just lived with my parents. I didn't really do anything. I didn't have an internship too during that time, so I was just kind of home. And then finally, I came back in the fall to Toledo for my final semester of college. And at that point, I was just like, okay, I got one more semester. I got to be like making my time count here. And I remember I was like laying in bed of like the first week after me moving back, and then I remembered about Toledo Parkour, and I was like, wait, I was gonna go do this, and didn't do it. And I think it was on a Wednesday, at like a Wednesday afternoon, and I remembered about it, and they had Wednesday night like open gym. So I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I got out of my bed. I drove to Toledo Parkour with like, I don't know what to expect, and I just walked into the gym, just to see what it's about, you know. And I walked in, and there were three other guys in the gym. Their name were There was Dakota, who was like the coach, who was like watching the gym at the time. There's this other guy, Jake, who also came out there the first time, coincidentally, the same time as me, and another guy, Francis. And I was like, hey, I don't really know parkour. I don't really know anything, but I'm here, so like, what's up? And Dakota, super awesome guy. He was like, awesome. I'm so happy you're here. I'm gonna show you the ropes, and he just started like giving me some basic challenges to do and like kind of showing me the ropes. I guess that's the best way. And so me and Jake just started doing vaults, which is basically like, imagine you have like a block and then you jump over it in any means necessary. Like you use your arms and your hands and your legs or whatever. I'm sure I have videos like of me doing this. I could just overlay a video of me doing this as I'm talking. But I I started like doing vaults, and it was like super fun. And then he started giving me like more challenges to do. And the last thing I remember doing on that first day is they had a warp wall, which is like, a 12-foot wall that you can run up and climb. You've probably, if anyone's seen American Ninja Warrior, you know that like big wall they climb up and then they get to the top. And American Ninja Warrior, it's like, I don't know, like 15, 18 feet. But this one was 12 feet, so it's a little smaller. And I'm like, I'm wondering if I can do that. And so Francis was like, hey, you should like go try to climb the wall. I'll like record it for you too. And I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it, but I think my first try, like I got to like the hanging position. I wasn't able to pull myself up, but then I tried it again on the second attempt, and I was able to pull myself up. It took like every ounce of energy to pull myself up because it's actually really hard when you like don't do that type of thing or climbing or exercise really. But like I wanted to give up, but Francis like keep pushing, keep pulling. I guess I was pulling technically, but keep pulling, and I got to the top, and it felt like so freaking great. And I was like, oh my god, this is so much fun. Like I want to like come out and do this more and more. And Dakota was like, hell yeah, I'm here. Francis is here. It'll be super fun. And I'm like, I'll be here. Funny thing though is I met Francis, and then I never saw him again. I think apparently he moved to the West Coast somewhere. But him and Dakota were obviously very experienced, and they just showed me the ropes. And like, yeah, I'm happy for you to be here and continue the training. And then at that point, I started going almost once or twice a week to the gym and just training and like learning all different skills. And like from there, I've slowly progressed, and now we're here at this point 1 year from now. And that's kind of my origin story. Um, Sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought of where I need to go from this. I have like a little script. I say script, but I just like jotted down some points I want to talk about. But I don't have a script or anything, so I'm just rambling. Anyways, so that's how the parkour started, and going forward, I don't know where it's gonna go, but I hope to go to even further, I guess, within this journey. So I mean, I guess I'll just move on to the next point, which I want to talk about. You know what? I'll briefly touch over everything I want to talk about, and then like we'll go through each thing in more detail. So one of the first things I want to talk about is like where you can train within parkour and the actual gyms that I have been to, the skills I've learned in parkour, my future goals of what I like want to do in parkour, obviously, the competitions and the parkour jam that I've been to, lessons that I've learned from parkour that are applicable to other areas of life. Finally, talking about like injuries and kind of injury prevention and how I deal with injuries now, because with any sport, like you're bound to get injured and you need to learn to deal with that. And kind of like my future hopes of where I personally want parkour to go going forward in the future. And then that's about it. And I guess if anything else pops into my head, then I will just spit it out. Like, again, I'm just rambling here, basically. So, talking about training and, like, where you can do parkour. Well, here's the great thing about parkour. Unlike any other sport, if you're playing basketball, gotta find like a basketball hoop or a basketball court. Football would be like nice to have like a field or whatever. Or if you're playing baseball, you need to set up bases. Well, guess what? With parkour, you don't need any of that. You could literally do it anywhere, and I do literally do it everywhere. Like I'm outside. I am outside wherever. If you go to a park, it could be within your neighborhood, it could be inside your house. You could do it at like your actual like weightlifting gym. You could go to a parkour gym. You can do it freaking anywhere. And the only thing that's limiting you is literally your mental capacity to think of challenges yourself. It's your own imagination, which is something I feel like doesn't happen in other sports. Usually in most sports, like yes, there's obviously strategy and teamwork involved, but there's not much creative freedom for what you can do. And I mean, I'm not. There could be other sports where there is a lot of creative freedom, and if you think there are other sports that have that creative freedom more than parkour, then I guess let me know. But like parkour truly feels like it's truly unique because even with your like physical skill set, the type of parkour athlete you become can be wildly different. So, for example, if I had an identical twin, which by the way, I do have an identical twin. He's just locked up in the basement. But I have an identical twin. And we, genetically, we grow up in the same environment or whatever. And genetically, we're like the exact same in terms of our genetic potential to do exercise, parkour, whatever. But if our execution of our imagination to do parkour is different, as in our mindset, what we focus on can be completely different. So I could be like, hey, I like to do like flips and spins, so I'll focus on doing like style tricks. While my identical twin is like, hey, I'm more focused on like power and speed, so he's more of like a speed athlete. So even though we are like genetically the same in terms of our potential, we could be two wildly different parkour athletes. And I think that's like the truly great thing about it. Because I've trained with obviously even people who are way more experienced in parkour than me, but I'm able to give them challenges that I may not be able to do because it's something that like I see. I'm like, hey, this is a challenge that's I can see that you may not see in this moment. So like, I'm trying to think of a good example here, but if you see like a tree, most people think, hey, can we like climb the tree? Or maybe you could use the tree to swing from branch to branch, or maybe you could do a combination of both. This isn't a very good example because I'm just like citing a tree and this is like very basic. But my point being is the more obstacles and more areas you explore, the more you open your mind to what the possibilities can be. So my point being here is literally anyone can train anywhere. And you don't need to be some crazy 20 years experienced parkour athlete. You could just be some guy who's like, hey, I want to like jump. I just want to jump off my bed or something. That's parkour. And so don't let yourself be like, hey, I can't do parkour because I don't have access to the facilities. No, that's bullshit. You can go anywhere and do parkour. But I do want to say training at a gym is actually really good, though, because it does give you a safe environment where you can prevent injury. So I'm going to transition to my next point, which is kind of talking about parkour gyms and like what they specialize in, I guess. And I mean, it goes without saying, a parkour gym, you train parkour in it. But I feel like the best way to look at parkour gyms is it gives you the opportunity to like train for stunts or maybe tricks like outside, and while minimizing the risk of injury a lot, because you can use things like mats, you have spring floors or whatever. And so like these are basically tools to help you train yourself in a much safer environment, and also like a nice place where you have access to all the tools that you can collect to train. And so some of the gyms that I have been to, well, actually, I'm just going to list off all the gyms that I have been to and where they are. And so if you live in any of these areas, I would recommend going to these places because it is super fun to go there. The first gym that I trained at, I guess is my home gym, as I mentioned earlier, is Toledo Parkour, which is, funnily enough, technically not located in Toledo. It's located in Maumee, Ohio, but it's basically the Toledo area. And then the next gym I've been to is Swift Movement Center, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. Finally, I've also been to Atlanta Parkour, which is in, you'll never guess, Atlanta, Georgia. The next place I've been to is In Town Stars, which is in Decatur, Georgia, which is also in the Atlanta area. Unfortunately, they recently closed down, so if you're looking to go there, they're not going to be there. But if you're in Atlanta, you can still go to Atlanta Parkour. And finally, the final gym that I've been to is Urban Youth Park, which is located in Punta Verde Beach, Florida, which is around the Jacksonville area. And so going to these places, it's actually really interesting because each parkour gym is like different in its own way, and they kind of have their own style, I suppose. So you'll go to one gym and then another gym, and the experiences are vastly different in terms of like what they are. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger, some of them focus on like one area of parkour, some of them focus on another. And so you will have different experiences. And my goal is to hopefully go to more and more gyms just so I've been in like more areas, had the opportunity to meet more people, and the opportunity to just, train in different environments and areas. And so, obviously, though, I do want to say if I had to pick a favorite parkour gym, it would be hard to do because at the end of the day, these are all fine establishments dedicated to the art and craft of training in parkour. And so, it feels unfair for me to say that there is a favorite gym of mine. That being said, it's going to have to go to Toledo Parkour, just because that's kind of like my home gym, where it all started. And I just have like that nostalgia bias towards that. But other than that, though, like looking from an unbiased perspective, they're all like amazing places. And if you live and if you're near any of these gyms, I would recommend going to them. And even if you're not and you're in another area and there's a parkour gym nearby you, it's a great place to get started. Oftentimes the coaches there are super chill and they're willing to help you out a lot, which I guess I'll transition into my next point, which I didn't say I'm going to talk about earlier, but that's just kind of like what the parkour community is like and like the environment of like the people that I've trained with. And like, man, it is so chill. Obviously, everyone is at different points in their parkour journey in their life. So like everyone's going to be trying different challenges. And so since I've only been doing this for a year, I've been training with a lot more people who are much more experienced than me. And, they're doing, in my eyes, absolutely bonkers stuff to me. That's crazy. But despite that, they're all so encouraging and they all push me to do things that I never thought I would be doing in that moment. And they'd be like, hey, do this challenge. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing that. And they're like, no, you're freaking doing it. And they make me do it. And I do it. And I'm like, holy crap, I actually did that. And it's truly amazing because I never expected. I feel like a lot of communities and just like different things, like it can be very discouraging. And if you're not able to keep up with the success, you feel discouraged to continue training in that skill or whatever it is. But it doesn't feel that way within parkour, where it's everyone recognizes they're all at their own level, and everyone works to help each other continue to strive and excel within their level, or I guess at parkour. And like this journey would not have been possible without the encouragement of all the people that I've met along the way. So to everyone that I've had the opportunity to train with, thank you. It really means a lot, and I hope to continue to push myself and also you guys going forward in the future. And I guess I'm just gonna kind of like connect my thoughts as I am. Now that I'm talking about community, I think it's a good time to talk about like the competitions and like jams that I've been to. So the first competition I went to was the Midwest Parkour League, which was in Cincinnati at Swift Movement Center. At the time, I was moving out from like Ohio to Georgia, so on my drive back to Georgia, I stopped in Cincinnati to do the competition, and then continue to drive back to Georgia. So how usually most parkour competitions is they're divided into three categories, which are speed, style, and skill. Speed is they make an obstacle course and you have to just clear it as fast as you can. Skill is you have a certain amount of time to clear a certain amount of skills. So like there are like 15 skills and you want to try to complete them within 30 minutes, hour, or whatever the allotted amount of time is, and they're like leveled. So you want to complete the highest level in each skill area. And then finally there's style, which is kind of think of it as like freestyle dancing. And so like obviously you're not dancing, but you're doing like a line, a parkour line, and whoever makes the coolest or the best line, I should say the best line, they would win in style. So at the time I only competed in speed because I was too scared to do skill or style because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be at the caliber level of the people competing. So I figured speed would be the best one to do. Looking back, I kind of wish I did all three of them just to get the experience. But, it's okay. I went into speed and I was like, I'm gonna try my best, and I think my only goal right now is not to get last because that seems like a reasonably attainable goal. And going into it, like I was going in with like my friends who were already a couple years experience, so they're obviously like a lot better than me. And I'm excited to say I did get last, but I am totally fine with that because um, the speed course was actually pretty hard, and I we were like obviously we were allowed to like practice and run through it, and then when I finally got time for the actual speed course, my brain just like froze up and I like stopped. It's my brain stopped working like at 2 points during the speed course, and I just kind of like stopped dead in my tracks. And then finally at the very end, we had to do like a climb up over a wall where like we strided to like a bar and then climb up the wall. And then I totally messed up the climb up, and I was just kind of hanging from the wall, and I was like, I should just give up because like, like the time's already screwed up. I'm not even gonna be anywhere close to first. But I was hanging, and then everyone in the gym was just cheering me on, like, no, you got to complete the speed course, you got to complete it. And so I pulled myself back up to the top, and I completed it. And like I was feeling very discontent with my performance, but at the same time, I was like really happy, like, okay, like now I have a much better picture of like what it's like. And you always, I feel like people always underestimate how valuable experience is in like any skill, because like there's that learning curve as like a beginner, you don't know anything. Then you hit like an intermediary level and you think like, hey, I know everything there is to achieve within this skill. Then finally you're really starting to understand like the perspective of what the skill ceiling, I guess, for the maximum potential, how good you are, and you realize how much further you have to go. And I think for me that was like my humbling moment where I realized like, hey, like yeah, I'm getting better at parkour, but there's still a lot more for me to do. So it was a humbling moment, and I was like, this just means I gotta train harder, I gotta train more, and there's like still a lot more for me to focus on. So I walked out a little bit upset with my performance, but I was like, you know what? It's okay. I still went out there and competed in the speed category, and I'm like, next time I'll do even better. And which I actually did do next time, even better. So the next competition I went to was in Atlanta at In Town Stars before they closed down. I had just moved back to Georgia, and I was like, it was really sad moving from Ohio to Georgia because I left my parkour buddies there, and I was like, oh man, I gotta make new friends. But it all ended up working out. But I went to this new competition, and this time I was like, I'm not sure about style still because like I can't do like backflips or anything, and I feel like it's not necessary to know how to do flips for style, but like it helps a lot if you want to win. But I was like, I can't do flips, so I'll do skill and speed this time and kind of give a go at it and see what happens. So I competed in skill and speed, and I went there, and I met out all the people that also came out there, and we had speed first, and I think there were like 5 or 6 of us competing in speed, and was it 5? I think it was 5, and I got last again. I wasn't like too upset, but like this time, like I did a lot better. I didn't like have a brain fart moment and like completely mess it up. I do remember on like for speed so this is the Southeast Parkour SEPKC Southeast Parkour Community whatever competition. They did the speed courses a little differently where they had like the floor is lava, touch points, and then I forgot what the other one was called. But basically you have to do like 3 speed courses and you get 2 attempts on each, and then your lowest times from each speed course get totaled up. So on the touch point speed course, I like completely like I tripped, I think, and like I just like fell on the floor and just like face planted basically, and I got back up and finished the course. But other than that, though, like the speed course went pretty well, and I got last, but it was only by like a couple seconds this time, not like 15 seconds. So I was like pretty happy with my performance. I'm like, okay, now it's time to do skill. I was expecting to get last again because looking at the other guys that I was competing with, like they were just more experienced. But there were only 4 of us competing, so at least within men's 18 and above category. And so I did the skill, and I was sitting down, and then they were like announcing who won like the like the order of the placements, and then somehow I got third. I mean, it's not that surprising considering there are only 4 of us. And so I just beat out one of the other guys that I didn't expect to be beating him out. And I think the main reason why I beat him out is because he was like trying to do one specific skill the entire time. And if he would have just like focused on actually trying to do all the skills, he would have gotten more points than me, but I ended up getting more points than him. And he was probably about like the same level of experience as me, maybe a little bit more. And so I got third, and I was like, not expecting that. I was like, what? I was obviously super happy. But because I placed third within the qualifier in the Southeast Parkour competition, they're like, hey, you can go compete at regionals, which is in Jacksonville, which is Urban Youth Park. And I was like, you know what? I guess I'm going to Jacksonville in like 3 weeks. And so I it's like, hey, I went home like, Mom, I got third place, and I have the opportunity to go compete at regionals within the Southeast. So let's freaking go to Jacksonville. And they're like, holy crap, that's awesome. Let's go. And so we went to Jacksonville. At that point, my sister started joking around like, hey, you should get like really good at parkour so you could like compete at the international level. And like they sometimes have competitions in Europe. I know this like literally last week. It was in Vancouver. My sister always wants, and she's been trying to use it as an excuse to go to Europe. But I was like, let me get to like that level first. So then I went to Jacksonville, and this time, since I only qualified in skill, I competed in skill. But I met like a lot more people and just had the opportunity to train there, and it was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I did get last again, but to my credit, like everyone else who was competing in skill was like at least 5 years experience, some of them even like 10. And so I was like, I'm just gonna go out here and like try my best to do my best and not really, focus on winning. Well, I like do my best, and I'm not gonna care like if I win. And so I did get last, which was totally fine with me. But I was like really happy that I came out and just had the opportunity to do that. And then from there, that was the last competition I went to. I know in another month we have another like competition circuit kind of starting up within like the Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina area. So I'll be attending those. I'm going to be trying to make sure I attend all those events and just the opportunity for more experience and meet more people. And finally, the last like big event thing that I went to was a parkour jam. It was called Dis Jam, which is located in the city of Atlanta, where literally it was like 40, 50 people all came out to Atlanta, and we just met in certain spots and just started doing parkour. And oh my god, that was so much freaking fun. Like, up until that point, the most I've ever trained with, like, people at a concurrent amount of time was like 5 people. Which were like 5 or 6 of us would just like go to a park and we would just train. And usually like that's just like we're all focusing on like doing one thing. But this jam was just so much fun. Oh my god. And it was just like we were in an area and I would be like working on one thing or one skill, and then I would like walk over to another group of people and they're doing something else. And you'd walk over to this area and that area and that area, and you could just walk around. There's just so many things to do. Like I talked about earlier, how everyone has like their own creative minds within parkour and finding challenges. You really got to see that in like full fruition with everyone that was there. And so like this jam was so much freaking fun. I mean, like words cannot describe it. And I definitely want to be doing like more parkour jams and like going like out of state to some other parkour jams and seeing like what it's all about. And I think this was also great. Like that was a great place for me to just meet more people, at least within like the Atlanta area that are doing parkour and want to continue training. Not just Atlanta, I guess Georgia, and like other people came from out of state too, like from Alabama, Tennessee, places like that. I just had the opportunity of meeting so many great people, and it was just so much fun. I'm trying to find a natural segue into my next point here, but I think I'm just gonna like go to the next thing that I want to talk about. Let me look at my list 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit about like kind of the skills that I've learned. I know for some people this might just sound like a bunch of like technical jargon or just like me blabbering words, but I'll do my best to like describe what I've learned and stuff. So as I mentioned earlier, there's vaulting, which is kind of like the act of like getting over an obstacle or object. And there's many ways you can do a vault. There's a safety vault, which is usually when you like kick up your legs and then like do like a foot tap across. There's a Kong vault, which is you basically like almost dive into it like chest first and use your arms to get more power out of it. There's a dash, which is you almost like you hurdle it, but you're sitting and jumping over it at the same time. What other type of vaults are there? There's the reverse vault, which is you run into it and do like a 180. Dad, I'm working on something. Can you go upstairs? Okay. Okay, I have to make a cut there because my dad actually just walked downstairs, but I will continue. And reverse vault. There are probably some other vaults that I'm not thinking of exactly, but like the point is a vault is just your way of means of getting over an obstacle or an object. And so I lost my train of thought there. Vaulting, yeah. Some other skills that I should have really written this down. Oh my god. Some other skills that I've gotten better at. Let me think. Oh yeah, like gymnastics and bar skills. That is something that I do struggle with and is very difficult. Um, and we call the lache or lache, I guess, which is basically just swinging on a bar. So you swing, you grab a bar, you swing. I'm like doing the motion, but I guess no one can really see me right now. But you swing back and forth, and then you launch yourself, and this could be like to another wall or another bar, for example. I haven't really gotten the swinging and the down throwing back part down yet, because you swing and you like basically you're throwing the bar behind you, and that's how you projectile yourself to whatever you need to go to. But I have gotten swinging down, because I remember when I first started, I was literally not even able to hang from a bar, and now I can like confidently hang from a bar and do something called a power start, which is like you you rock yourself so that you get the speed so that you can throw yourself off the bar. There's something called doing a cat, which is basically like hanging from a wall. So you jump towards a wall and you stick your legs out first to soak the impact, and then you grab your hands to like whatever the top of the wall or like the ledge to hold yourself from that position. And that hanging position is called a cat. You can also do something called a cat 180, which is kind of like you step up and you push off the wall to jump away from it. Obviously, I've gotten better at things like striding, which is just almost like skipping, I guess. But think about it as like running. I'm sure most people know what striding is. Like, I don't know why I'm explaining it, but striding, you're just running, but you'll be landing with one foot instead of two. Um, there's something called doing prees or standing prees, which is basically jumping from one spot to another like small area. So normally, if you're doing like a big jump to like like a roof, maybe not roof, like a block with a big area, you could over jump it and you'll like land easily. But a pre would maybe to be like a bar, and so your margin of error is really really low. You have to land specifically on that bar, and that's what a pre is. So one of the biggest things in parkour is using both feet when you land, and it is like still something that I'm working on. Where in some jumps, in some instances, your body tells you, hey, do land with one foot and then follow with the other, because like that's just like easier to do. In your brain it sounds easier, but in reality it's actually both feet, because if you jump with one foot's taking the force of the impact first and then the other one's coming in support. But if you jump in with both feet, then you can take the impact of the force with both feet, which will make it a lot easier. But you just need to build the confidence to doing that jump. Oh yeah, here's another basic skill that I learned that I feel has been really important in parkour and preventing injury is rolling. Rolling is so useful from whenever you're jumping from like a high place and learning how to roll, just because like basically what you're doing is all that like if I'm jumping from a high like area down onto like the floor or whatever, or the ground, what's happening is there's the force of gravity bringing me down and I'm trying to stop it. And the thing is, if you try to stop it just by like naturally landing, then all that force is just like put through your body, and oftentimes it'll go like through your heels, and then like you'll like hurt your legs like crazy. But what you can do when you roll is you hit the ground, and then like you instantly come down with your hands and then roll over your shoulder and kind of like across your back. And what that does is like the force is dissipated across your body. So I guess like from a physics perspective, if I were to explain it, you're like dissipating the force over a longer period of time, so you don't feel it as long. I don't know if there's a lot of physics people here, or even that's the correct way to explain it, but that's the best way that I can think about explaining it. And rolling is like one of the best ways to like prevent yourself from getting hurt, because you don't need to always perfectly roll when you land too, right? Because in the ideal scenario, you do like a perfect technique roll, but you don't have that privilege every single time. So literally sometimes it's better to just like hit the ground and then like instantly just flop over and just start rolling on your side. But if you can, you would want to do like the shoulder to the, it's like almost a diagonal line where you roll from your whatever dominant hand shoulder to the other, to your hip on your back on like the other side. I'm trying to think like what other stuff that I've learned, and I'm sure I'm probably like playing videos where you can see some of the stuff that I'm doing, but nothing's coming to mind. I'm also just realizing I've been talking for 35 minutes. I don't want this video to be too long, but I got to talk about everything I need to talk about. So I'll just kind of, if something pops into my head, that I'll go there. I I guess I'll talk about like one of my favorite experiences and probably like my proudest experience in parkour that I've done, which was at the University of Toledo with my buddies. We were just training there, and there's this one building where we did buildering, which is, if anyone does climbing, bouldering is you climb, but buildering is you boulder on a building. So we went to this building, which was just like a dorm hall, and basically like, they had like the wall, and on the wall they had like little things that stuck out. I don't even know what to call them. But what you could do is like put your arms on both sides of it and then wedge your legs in between the things that are sticking out, and you can do like a spider climb. So I remember I went there with my friends and they're like, "Oh, let's climb this building." And I was like, "There's no way I'm climbing this building, bro." And they're like, "Nah, you can do it. You can do it." So then I like held on, I like tried the spider climb. I was in position and I started actually spider climbing, and I got onto the first roof of the building. I was like, "No way I actually just did that." Like, it was crazy to me. And then there was a second wall and another set of like sticky thingies, whatever you want to call them, and we climbed up that too. And I got to the top and like I messed up my foot placement, so I was just kind of hanging, and I was actually worried that I was gonna fall down, but I just hung on for dear life. And fortunately my friends came over and pulled me up, and I was like, "Okay, thank you for saving me." But I climbed up to the top and I was like, "Wow, this is freaking awesome. I just climbed a building on like campus." And I took a moment to like just kind of admire, and just like watch all the people. And at that point, like a car like pulled up on like the road on campus and was just like watching us conspicuously. So we're like, "Crap, we gotta go." So then we ran over to like the other side, and there was like a set of drops you can descend down. So like I just dropped off the first one, and the second one I had to hang from and then drop off from there. And then finally there's another spot that we dropped off, and then we're back like on the ground. And then we got our stuff and just bounced as fast as possible before like security could pull up. Because obviously we're not doing anything illegal, but we don't want people getting upset for whatever reason because they don't want us to be doing this. And so I guess that's like a good segue to disclaimer is talking about kind of like other people watching you do like parkour and stuff. Obviously, a lot of times some people are impressed. Other people look at you like an idiot. I mean, it makes sense because if I'm doing crazy stuff and there's a high possibility of injury, people will be like, "Hey, you shouldn't be doing that," which I totally get it. But that's not kind of how the perspective and mindset, how I view it. When I see someone doing something crazy like that, I think, man, I'm really impressed at their dedication, commitment, and like boldness to do such a feat, because what they don't see is the hours of training to do that, for that, maybe not even hours, probably days and months of preparation to do that like one specific stunt. As you not only do you need to make sure you're physically capable of doing it. Sorry, I had to cut there again because I think my dad walked through. But not only do you need to make sure you're physically capable of doing it, but also the mental preparation for doing a crazy stunt like that is just crazy. And you also don't see the years of experience that someone has when they do something like that. So if someone's doing a rooftop jump across like two gaps where they're doing a double Kong, which is just like I talked about a Kong vault earlier, where you Kong over one wall and then you do another Kong over another one. It's obviously something very scary, and like I'll see like clips of people doing it, and then I'll go to the Instagram comments and be like, "This guy doesn't care about his life." I'm like, I get where you're coming from, but at the same time, like, this guy has probably been doing it for 10, 15 years, and like the thing is if you're gonna do something like that, you need to be going in with absolute 100% certainty you're gonna do it. And yes, of course, there's always a risk, but that's just inherent with anything, I think. When you go to work, you don't think about, hey, if you drive to work, that is, I'm gonna drive to work. You don't think about you getting into a car accident or injury because it seems unlikely. But like the chance of you getting in a car accident is actually ridiculously high, and it's like safer to be in an airplane than it is to just drive to work. My point here being is anything you do, there'll be inherent risk. And if you're gonna, if you see someone doing parkour and doing something scary, in the moment, don't say anything because you could mess up their concentration. Of course, when they're done, you could roast them if you think they're being a complete idiot, which is totally valid, I guess. But take a moment to maybe appreciate what they do, because you don't see in like a 1 minute, if you see someone in like a 1 minute Instagram clip, you don't see the the doubt, the hesitation, the years of experience that built up to that one specific moment. So I guess just appreciate what's in front of you. Um, I'm also looking at this and realize this video is 40 minutes, and I don't know if I have 40 minutes of me doing parkour footage, but I could probably just like loop it. So you might be seeing me do the exact same stuff over and over again. Anyways, man, I'm like completely off the rails of what I wanted, the order that I wanted to go in, but who freaking cares? Anyways, what are the last few things that I haven't touched? Um, all right, I'm just gonna speed this up because I feel like I've been rambling for too much, and I don't want to make this an hour-long video, but it is approaching that point. So, I guess kind of the last things that I want to talk about is injury. I mean, I guess I was talking about that right now, right? Injuries and injury prevention. Something that I realize is you're just gonna get hurt when you're doing parkour. That's just a fact that you're gonna have to accept, and like that is part of the process. But the upside of that is like my physical resistance to injuries has so dramatically improved, in that before in the past, like I would like hit my hand on a table and I would cry like a little baby because I had no pain tolerance and capability to take that. But now like I will like literally like 2 weeks ago, I was just like doing a spin move next to like the coffee table in my living room, and I slammed my leg, not my shin, but like the parts below my shin, so like kind of like where my ankle is, like straight into the coffee table, and I was like, and it was like pretty hard, um, and old me would have like got on the floor and cried like a little baby, but I just like, oh, yep, I got hurt, and I just moved on with my life. And there are like more instances of that too, right? And so like it is actually really nice to be able like now it's actually kind of fun to get hurt a little bit in a weird way. Where like if it's like a major thing, of course I don't want to get hurt, but like I'll get hurt and I'll be like, yeah, okay, that wasn't too bad. Like I can take this. I can take this. There was one time I was out with my friends and I was like just jumping to the curb, and I ended up slipping on the curb because there was some dust, and like I fell like perfectly back so that I like landed in a sitting position, but my arms were able to catch me before my butt hit the ground. And I fell down. My friends were like, "Shoot, are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." That was actually kind of fun. I kind of want to do it again. I didn't do it again, but it's just like those moments when like I think those moments when you get like a save, where you mess something up and you save yourself. Obviously, you get injured in the process, but you've like significantly minimized the risk. You're like, oh crap, there's no way I just did that. I actually had another moment like a couple of days ago. I was in Toledo and I was visiting Dakota, and we were training together. And I was trying to do a Kong like over like I guess a wall curb. I don't really know how to describe it. And my foot actually tripped like on the thing, and so then I was about to face plant onto the sidewalk, but I was able to throw my hands out fast enough to stop to like soak the impact and prevent my face from hitting it. So I did get like a little cut on my hand, but it's much better than like throwing my face, like diving my face into a concrete sidewalk. My point being here is, yeah, you're gonna get hurt, but you learn to be so much more. You get so much more pain tolerance, and your physical resistance and immunity to pain is just significantly greater. And so, injuries are a thing of the past usually. Not unless you're doing crazy stuff and you completely mess that up. But you won't be doing that unless you're 100% sure to do it. So therefore, it'll not be a worry. I guess the last thing I kind of want to talk about is just kind of like what my future for parkour is. Obviously, I have like no way of knowing where that's gonna go. But I know one thing for sure is I want to keep training to push myself to. I think the motto I kind of have myself is to literally do the impossible and like defy what I believe is not only possible for myself, but like what is the human limit. Because as I've like trained with more and more experienced athletes, I'm starting to realize like the true grasp of what the limits of like people can do, the human body is capable of. Because so much for life was restricted to this like sedentary lifestyle where we sit at home, we sit in our cars, we sit at work. Maybe you might walk around for work, and there are some people who do like physical labor and stuff, right? But like no one reaches that potential. Like, yeah, you'll go to the gym and like maybe you can bench like 225 or even heck 315, get in the 1,000-pound club. But that's just like lifting weights, with proper diet and like dedication and commitment. I feel like most people can achieve that. But like I remember there was a moment I was training. I don't think I talked about him, but his name's Max. He's here in Atlanta. We went out just to like this fitness court, whatever, and we were walking around and we found like this like tree and like this pole. And so Max was like going onto the road, running to the pole and jumping to it, and then he would tack, which is basically like doing a wall jump. You know, if you played like Mario does like a wall jump in like video games. But he would like tack off the pole, then tack to the tree, then tack off the tree to like a little curb to land on. And like I don't know, like I guess I can't really like explain it without, you know, you having the distances, but he was jumping like 6 or 7 feet to the pole, and then like another 5 or 6 feet to the tree, and then like another couple feet to the curb. And my mind couldn't even possibly comprehended that as a challenge until he pointed that out and I watched him do it. And that was like the point where I was like, holy crap. You can do like a crazy amount of stuff and do parkour. Like I said earlier, it's all like within the imagination, your capability to execute and the practice to reach that point, the training to get to that point. And now like I'm really starting to realize what's possible, especially as I see other athletes who are diversified and skilled within their specific parkour area. I'm like, wow, it's freaking amazing. You know, I hope to achieve that point for myself where I'm like, hey, I want to defy the impossible, prove myself, and hopefully inspire others to do the impossible, I guess. And I guess that's kind of where like my future hopes for like parkour is headed, you know, and kind of like where my future goals is. Um, okay, I think there's like a few more things I want to touch on. I'm just like collecting my thoughts, so just give me a second. Okay, yeah. I guess the last thing I want to talk about is the lessons I kind of learned in like parkour and like what has been applicable to my like how I've applied it to other areas in life. And I think the biggest thing is just like learning to be more daring and courageous and bold with your actions. So many people are scared to do X, Y, Z, whether that be a physical challenge, you know, maybe it'd be something social related, professional, or like career related. But like what parkour's kind of taught me is like, hey, just go do it. And you know, like there's a chance you fall, slip up, fail. You'll be like, crap, I messed this up. You're gonna get hurt, but you did it. You've experienced what it's like to get hurt, and you're like, hey, maybe it's not that bad to actually get hurt. Maybe you know, me falling down and getting hurt wasn't too bad. Maybe me asking out that person wasn't and getting rejected wasn't too bad. Maybe me not getting this job interview was not too bad. Maybe me failing this class is not too bad. Whatever it is in life, you're like, crap, I'm still alive. Of course, this won't matter if you're alive, but hopefully you are. You'd be like, I'm still alive. I'm still here, mostly in one piece. I can move on with my life. And I've learned from this experience. So you can either A, be like, hey, it's okay. I at least I did it. And, you know, I can't do it again. So that's fine because of what are the circumstances. You're like, hey, I learned my lesson from it this time. And how can I apply this to do even better in the future? And like, sometimes when I encounter like a scary situation, whether that be in parkour or something else pertaining to my life, I think about like, hey, what would really happen if I failed, or like the negative outcome were to happen here? And I'm like, hey, nothing too bad, so I'm just gonna go for it. And then I do whatever I need to do, and either I get the positive outcome that I wanted, or the negative outcome, and I truly did something that I never thought I would be able to do, or I learned a valuable lesson. And that's kind of like where it has like pushed me. And I'm hoping to like, and I'm hoping like I want to continue living like that in life. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Um, and so that's probably the biggest thing I learned in parkour. I'm sure there are other things, but I'm like just really trying to speed it up because I've been talking for 50 minutes now. um, and then I guess the last thing I want to talk about is what the point of me making this video, I guess. And so for me personally, like I want to kind of watch my natural progression, you know, see kind of like how I've progressed within these like videos or like how far I've gotten. So for me, because I've trained with a lot of experienced parkour athletes, and it's really hard sometimes when I train with these guys who are crazy, and I'm like, damn, I want to be like I want to be like them, and you know, comparison is the thief of joy. So oftentimes I discredit myself and the progress that I've made because I'm training with people who are way more experienced than me. But you know, sometimes I take a look back, and you know, I hope to come back to this video and be like, hey, this is where I was a year ago. I mean, a year ago when I first started, this was where it was, and now this is where I am at. And I'm like, okay, I've made some progress, and I'm continuing to get to that point. And it's all about, your steps, your own progress that you're making. And that first day when I walked into the parkour gym, like literally the only thing I knew how to do was like jump 2 feet in the air. That was my parkour experience. I didn't have any knowledge or capability to do whatever. And it is through commitment and practice and training that I managed to develop those skills. And then, and I hope the point of me making this video too is hopefully to inspire others. Not necessarily to do parkour, which I definitely do encourage everyone to do parkour here, but to, if there's something that you've wanted to do for a long time, whether that be like a skill or like a training thing or whatever it is, just go freaking do it. Like, stop making the excuses, get up, and go do it. I know it can be so scary because you're like, I'm not good at this. I'm going to be bad at this. What if I fail? What will other people think? Blah, blah, blah. And, like, you're going to have those thoughts. I have those thoughts all the time where I'm trying to do, like, a new skill or learn something new within parkour. And I'm like, dang, what if I get hurt? How are other people I think about a lot how other people react to, like, what parkour is. Because it is very, like, outside the social norm. And it is weird to see people jumping around in like public, and that's still something that I'm working on. But by far, I think the most impressive thing is all the people that you see successful within a skill or career, they have their doubts of they have doubts up until that point, and probably even still at that point. But it is through the commitment and pushing through like the difficult your doubt that you're able to achieve and get to the level that you want to be. And, I hope that maybe people can look at me and be like, hey, Srini's out here doing parkour, doing his best. And, even though he's not sure if things are going to work out, he's still doing it and making the progress that he needs to do. So I need to do that. So I want everybody here to, get up and do whatever you need to do, I guess. And that's kind of like what I'm hoping to do with this. And at the end of the day, like, if you don't work for the life if you don't build the life that you want, it'll be nothing more than just a dream. And, for me, it could have been the same thing where I would have just sat on the sidelines and watched other people do parkour on social media and be like, huh, it'd have been cool if I did that. But no, I got up and did it. So just, you guys do the same, I guess. I did not expect to be rambling for like 50 minutes. There are definitely some other points that like I missed out on, but I think I'm just gonna about call it here. Before I do that though, I do want to give like some quick shout outs to like the people that I've had the opportunity to train with a lot. First of all, like the biggest shout out goes out to my OG crew, I guess, within Toledo that I've had the opportunity to train with a lot, which would be Dakota, who I've mentioned a little bit earlier. There is Jake, and there's another Jake. There are two Jakes actually. I guess I don't know which one's Jake 1 and Jake 2, but Jake, I'll assign this Jake 1 and 2, nothing personal here. But Jake 1 is what Jake I talked about earlier, who started training parkour with me at the exact same time. Super awesome guy, and it's like nice to have someone, to start your journey with, kind of. Jake 2 was another Jake in the Toledo area who's super experienced, and he's given me lots of advice and just helping me like also improve. There's Jared, who's also within he's no longer in Toledo. He moved, unfortunately. But yeah, Jared, also super awesome guy, helped me out a lot. And then there's Nate. We also trained a good bit together, and I freaking love like the Toledo crew. And obviously, I'm not there anymore, and a couple of them also moved out of the area. But if I ever see you guys, we're training together. If I'm in the area, And finally, I guess coming to Georgia, I've had the opportunity to train with like more people. More recently, I've been training with Max, absolutely goated. And yeah, and like just a few sessions I've been with Max, I've like learned so much, and he's like pushed me a lot. And also shout out to like all the guys that organized Disc Jam and the people that I met at Disc Jam. And there's a lot more people I want to, and like I could sit out here and read a list, but like I'm 55 minutes in, guys. Like this is. I really just sat down and talked about parkour for almost an hour, and I'm nowhere near the tip of the iceberg of like, okay, I'm a little bit past the tip of the iceberg for all the stuff I wanted to talk about, but it's a lot more than what I wanted to. And like, the point I'm making here is like this journey wouldn't have been as great as it was without all the people that I've met along the way. And of course, I could have like done this on my own, but like it feels like not only has it like challenged me to like be better to train with these people, but also it like just expedited the process of, I don't want to say expedited actually, but it just had the opportunity for me to learn more and gain knowledge from others, because learning a skill by yourself is really difficult, and I've had the privilege and honor to train with all these amazing people. And so, if you meet these guys or anyone really that I've had the opportunity of training with, just talk to them and there'll be a lot to learn. With that being said, I'm gonna like wrap it up here. I don't really know how to end this or anything, but yeah, the point is, it's freaking parkour. I love it. If you guys want to talk more about parkour and more of my experience, you can just reach out to me individually. I'll be happy to talk about it. With that being said, thank you for everyone for listening to my rambling for 55 minutes and 30. It's like 55. We're approaching 56 minutes, and it was freaking awesome. And thank you. And I will see you all in year 2.